Marcus Chen had seen many things in his 42 years as a maintenance supervisor at Riverside Mall, but nothing quite prepared him for what he witnessed that Tuesday afternoon. The atrium was decorated for the mall's anniversary celebration. Balloons everywhere, people bustling about, and there in the center of it all sat two identical little girls in matching red dresses. They couldn't have been more than 6 years old, with copper-colored hair tied in pigtails with red ribbons, sitting cross-legged on the polished floor. Marcus noticed them because everyone else was ignoring them. The girls sat perfectly still, their small hands moving in quick gestures to each other, their eyes bright but uncertain around them. Male employees rushed past, avoiding eye contact. Pretending not to see the children sitting alone, Marcus knew that look. That invisible wall people put up when they encounter something unfamiliar, something that makes them uncomfortable. He'd seen it before with his own daughter Sarah, who was 13 now and navigating her own challenges. These girls were signing to each other, he realized, his heart sinking as he watched another employee walk right past them without even a glance. Then he saw the man in the expensive navy suit striding toward the children, his face tight with barely concealed frustration. The man's shoes clicked sharply against the marble floor. Marcus recognized him immediately. Everyone who worked at the mall did. Robert Ashford, the CEO of the company that owned half the retail spaces in the building. Ashford was known for his sharp business sense and even sharper tongue. A man who expected perfection and rarely smiled, Marcus watched as Ashford reached his daughters, his expression softening just slightly. The CEO crouched down, his movements stiff and awkward, and Marcus saw something that made his chest tighten. The man was trying to sign to his daughters, but his hands were clumsy, uncertain, forming shapes that even Marcus could tell were wrong. The girls looked at their father with patient eyes, the kind of patience children shouldn't have to learn so young. One of them reached out and gently corrected her father's hand position, and Marcus saw the flash of pain cross Ashford's face in that moment. Marcus saw not a powerful CEO, but a father struggling to communicate with his own children, drowning in a language he hadn't yet learned to speak fluently. The girls' faces held understanding beyond their years, acceptance of their father's limitations mixed with a quiet sadness. Marcus thought of his own daughter, how they could talk for hours about everything and nothing, and his heart ached for these children and their father. He thought about walking away, minding his own business as everyone else had done. After all, this was Robert Ashford, the man who could have him fired with a single phone call. But then Marcus remembered his mother's voice from years ago, her gentle wisdom echoing across the decades. She used to say that kindness doesn't ask permission and doesn't calculate the cost. Marcus set down his toolbox and walked toward them. His work boots made soft sounds on the floor, nothing like Ashford's sharp clicks as he approached. He could see the tension in Ashford's shoulders, the way the man's jaw was set, the frustration evident in every line of his body. Marcus stopped a respectful distance away and slowly lifted his hands. He signed a simple hello, the gesture clear and deliberate. Both girls looked up at him, their eyes widening with surprise and something else. Hope, perhaps. Marcus smiled and signed again. Asking their names, the girl on the left straightened up, her hands moving with sudden enthusiasm. Her name was Emma. She signed, and her sister was Lily. Marcus introduced himself. His signs, basic but sincere, learned years ago when Sarah had a deaf classmate and wanted to be able to talk to her. Ashford stood up slowly, his expression unreadable, and Marcus felt a flutter of nervousness. But then something unexpected happened. The CEO's face softened, the hard edges smoothing away, revealing a vulnerability Marcus had never seen in all his years working at the mall. "Thank you," Ashford said aloud, his voice rough with emotion. Marcus nodded and knelt down to the girl's level. He signed that the decorations were for a celebration, asking if they'd like to see the balloon arch up close. Both girls looked at their father, who nodded, a small smile finally breaking through his stern facade as they walked toward the decorations. Marcus signing simple observations, and the girls responding with growing animation. He became aware that something had shifted in the atrium. Other people were watching now, not with discomfort, but with curiosity. A young retail worker approached hesitantly and asked Marcus to teach her how to say hello in sign language. He did, and she practiced the gesture before approaching the girls with a shy smile. Emma and Lily lit up, their hands moving rapidly as they responded to her greeting. Within minutes, a small group had gathered. People who had walked past just moments before now, genuinely interested in connecting with these children. Ashford stood to the side, watching his daughters bloom under the attention, their earlier stillness replaced with the natural energy of 6-year-olds finally being seen. Marcus noticed the CEO's eyes were bright with unshed tears. Later, after the small crowd had dispersed and the girls were playing near the fountain under their father's watchful eye, Ashford approached Marcus. "I've been taking classes," the CEO said quietly, his usual commanding tone, "absent sign language classes every evening after work. But I'm not picking it up fast enough. The girls are patient with me. More patient than I deserve, but I see it in their eyes, that loneliness. They live in a world that doesn't speak their language. And sometimes I'm part of that world." Marcus chose his words carefully. "My daughter taught me something important when she was younger," he said. "She told me that the best gift you can give someone is your effort, not your perfection. Those girls don't need you to sign perfectly. They need you to keep trying. And from what I saw, you haven't given up." Ashford was quiet for a long moment. "I've built an empire," he said finally, "but I couldn't figure out how to talk to my own daughters. I watched my employees walk past them today, and I was angry, but then I realized I've been walking past them too. In my own way, hiding behind work, behind excuses about how busy I am, when the truth is I was afraid of failing at the one thing that matters most." Marcus understood that fear. He'd felt it himself many times as a single parent. The fear of not being enough, of failing the small person who depended on you completely. Before Ashford returned to his daughters, he turned back to Marcus. "You showed my girls something today," he said. "You showed them that strangers can be kinder than the world they know. And you showed me that I've been thinking about this all wrong. I've been so focused on learning to speak their language that I forgot the most important part. Just being present, just trying." Marcus watched as Ashford walked back to Emma and Lily, saw how the man's posture had changed, more open, less burdened. The CEO sat down on the floor beside his daughters, not caring about his expensive suit, and began signing with them. His movements were still uncertain, still imperfect, but the girls responded with joy, their small hands moving rapidly, patiently correcting, enthusiastically communicating around them. The mall continued its busy rhythm, but in that small space by the fountain, 3 people were finding their way to each other. Marcus picked up his toolbox and returned to his work, but something had changed in him too. He'd been reminded that the smallest gestures can ripple outward in ways we never expect. That kindness doesn't require grand gestures or perfect execution, just the willingness to see someone else's struggle and choose connection over comfort. As he walked away, he thought about his mother again, about all the small kindnesses she'd shown to strangers throughout her life. She'd understood something that took Marcus years to learn. That we're all struggling with something, all learning languages we don't quite speak yet, all hoping someone will be patient enough to meet us where we are. That evening, as Marcus drove home to Sarah, he felt lighter somehow. He'd started his day thinking about broken escalators and burnt-out lights, the endless maintenance required to keep a building running. But he was ending it thinking about connection, about the maintenance required to keep our humanity running, the daily choice to see each other, to try, to care the next day. Marcus arrived at work to find a note in his locker. It was from Ashford. Written in surprisingly elegant handwriting, the CEO had established a program. He wrote, "To provide sign language classes for all mall employees, voluntary but encouraged." He'd also hired 2 interpreters to be available during mall hours. But more than that, Ashford had included a photo of Emma and Lily, both girls beaming at the camera, their hands frozen mid-sign on the back. In a child's careful printing were 2 words, "Thank you." Marcus pinned the photo inside his locker. A reminder that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is simply walk towards someone everyone else is walking away from. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about the quiet moments of kindness that change lives. Leave a comment below about a time someone showed you unexpected compassion. Let's keep spreading light together.